It is coming down in sheets, but I am dry. My stuff is dry. I got mashed potatoes and beef. The dog is dry, and I'll definitely be ready for bed tonight. I know if I go camping it's gonna rain, but as long as I got hot food and I'm dry, I got no complaints. I'm fairly dry. I put the dog tent up as soon as I got the tarp up, and he's pretty dry and just about asleep. I think he's exhausted. But I can't say enough about this hammock setup. It's a good deal. I'm glad I got the larger tarp to go with it. I'm sitting on my butterfly chair. Usually I like to have the tarp a little higher, but I didn't have a lot of time. So I'm okay with it. No complaints. I'm just going to sit here, drink some water, spend the night here, I suppose. Maybe I'll fix myself another cup of coffee. Just rolling with the punches. Must make coffee turn back into human. Better. Better. Oh yeah, that's nice. That's much better. You know, one of the things that kind of bugs me when I'm camping are picky eaters. I mean, picky eaters, you know, kind of drive me nuts anyway, but especially when camping, it's kind of like a pet peeve. You know, because there's only so many choices you have, you know, especially for lightweight food. Like raisins, for example. You ever run into somebody who doesn't like raisins? You know, you're starving usually in the morning when you get up camping. Somebody's picking their raisins out of their oatmeal or something. It drives me crazy. And most of these people are from the upper Midwest in general. It's like their taste buds have been so isolated and clamped down at an early age from, you know, the variety of foods out there. They cannot expand any further. It's like the only thing they can have is a fried egg in the morning. That's it. That drives me nuts. I just had to get that out of my system. Picky eaters camping. There are no picky eaters camping. There are only fed campers, and there are hungry campers that go without. That's it. I mean, seriously. I mean, you ever run into somebody who doesn't like a raisin? A raisin. How can you not like a raisin? It's just a dried up grape. Come on. Or oatmeal. Give me a break. It's a grain. It's nuts. Drives me crazy. Eat or don't eat. That's your choice. I actually think that's one of the only reasons I would even slightly hope for an SHTF. You know? Just so I could, like, stick it to the picky eaters. Yeah, all we got is raisins. Either eat them or starve, okay? This is the SHTF. Eat your freaking raisins. I love raisins. It'd be like, you know, like if it was the SHTF, everybody's starving and eating their dogs and cats. I'd be like, hey dude, see you're not eating your raisins. Can I have them? I'll eat them. I love raisins. Mmm. Serious? Yeah, I'll take them. All right, a lot of people don't know how to do this. This is what you need to take a poop in the woods. You need a shovel. I got a little collapsible trawl here, that's what I use. Some fresh wipes, very important. Don't discount the value on these. These are the difference between a smelly camp trip and a clean, refreshing camp trip. Toilet paper, and don't forget the off. I nuke the place. I nuke myself, the place that I'm doing the pooping in with the off. Without that, it's not going to be peaceful. That's all you need, and the rest is pretty self-explanatory. Okay, let's talk bears just for a minute. This is bear country. There are a lot of bears in this area, and dozens of encounters between humans and bears happen every year in the BWCA. The last lethal encounter, I believe, between black bears and humans happened back in the late 80s, where a young couple were attacked and killed by a black bear and partially eaten not too far away from here. Black bears are responsible for the most attacks and the most deaths in North America. In fact, the reason for that is because if a black bear does attack you, he's most likely to kill you than any of his cousins. I've seen many bears in the boundary waters. I've had one bear come into camp in the middle of the night, and 30 plus times of coming in to the boundary waters, and we were able to shoo him off just by clapping our hands and growling loudly. Had I had a dog with me, he probably wouldn't have got that close, but he was pretty close to the tent when we figured out or woke up that he was there. So obviously, if I've only had, you know, one real close encounter and 30 plus times coming up here, it's easy to, you know, not have the bears come that close to you. Number one is just to keep a clean camp. Bears smell as good or even better than dogs. If there is a bear in this area, he knew it the minute probably I came into this camp, and especially when I started cooking. There's a whole bunch of myths behind how to avoid bears, and you know, the DNR and Park Service have come up with kind of a consortium to keep your food 50 feet away from you and hang it in the air. And really, that isn't a way of keeping the bear away from your food as much as it's the point of that whole consortium or that rule is to have the least likely chance of a human encountering the bear. Number one, the food is 50 feet away from you, it's in the air, you're not there. That's what the Park Service or your local state DNR, that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to keep you away from the bear. So they've come up with the best idiot-proof rule that they could. When I come into bear country, I take my proper human place as the top of the food chain, and I am prepared to deal with a bear if it comes down to a deadly encounter. I think that would be the smartest thing to do, even though some people, I mean, we're all sold with this, we're coming into the bear's home, and you know, they live here and we're invading. That's simply not true. The whole earth is humans' home. This is all mine, and I live here, and I'm the top of the food chain, so you should be prepared to take your proper place in that food chain. Don't be eaten by a bear who is a rung down from you on the food chain. One of the other things that you can do, or that I do, is to urinate in a 25-foot circle around my campsite. I drink a lot of water if I'm going to stay here a few days, and I just urinate around the campsite. That may sound funny, but urine in the animal world is a way of marking territory. For bears, they have, you know, they spray their scents around. Dogs as well. If I got the dog with me, it really lessens the chance of bear encounters. In fact, you know, Yankee will wake me up in the middle of the night, and he'll be growling
here and there, and that could be a bear. Now it could be anything, could be a moose, could be a mouse that he hears and he's not comfortable with, but even that growl is enough to keep a healthy fear in that bear to stay away. Dogs definitely lessen the chance. But if you do run into a bear that's hell-bent on getting your food, if they're hungry, especially this time of year when the sows have cubs, they love dog food. And if they're hell-bent on coming in, there's not much you can do. I'm not going to die or get into a fight with a bear over the food, but I want to lessen my chances by keeping a clean area. I keep all my food in a airtight bag. That's huge, because bears mostly work by scent. They can't see very well. They mostly work by scent. They can smell grubs out in the ground. So keeping it in an airtight bag. Just a note on the bear barrels and all this stuff they sell you and the outfitters get you to rent. That stuff is not bear proof. I really think it's just meant for drama. It's definitely not worth its weight. This is a much better way to carry your food and keep it out of the bear's nose. That's what you want to do. You can put your food up between two trees. If you put your food up in a tree, a bear can climb a tree in a matter of minutes. I mean, he could be up that tree and have that food down. Putting it up between two trees in the middle with a rope lessens the chance of the bear getting it, but bears are usually are smarter than that. They will climb the tree, they'll yank on the rope and get it down. You might be lucky, but if the bear knows there's food in there, he won't stop until he gets that food down. The bear barrels are not bear proof. All that bear stuff is just extra weight. This is the best way to bring it in. I actually do not keep my food 50 feet away from me. I keep it next to me in an airtight bag, and I believe I'm the best deterrent against that bear unless I leave the camp. The bear that came into my camp never found my food bag because it was in an airtight bag. He was sniffing around the camp, and believe me, when you're out here cooking, you smell like food. That's kind of the myth behind putting your bag in putting your food in a bear barrel and hanging it from a tree. Your hair, your clothes, your tent, it all smells like food. You should try to minimize that by not eating in your tent, but you smell like food. Your hair smells like food. The bear is gonna, if he's hungry and he's hell-bent on coming in, he's gonna sniff you out probably first. The best thing, I'll say it again, mark your territory around your camp. Keep your camp as clean as possible so there's not an overwhelming smell of food. Keep your food in an airtight bag that the bear can't sniff out. And it's best just to leave your scent, that you are the best deterrent against that bear, whether it's smoke or whether it's your dog or urinating around your camp. Bears don't want to, they have a healthy respect for humans. There's a reason for that. And the ones that don't, well, they should really be eliminated. And that kind of keeps a healthy fear into the bear population. The reason, by the way, that I hang the dog food and my food bag is not because of bears. It's because of mice. Mice are the most destructive force on the planet, in my opinion. I'll bet you that if you added up all the nuclear explosions ever that have taken place on this planet, compared to how much destruction in material items that mice have caused, I bet you mice would win. I've lost, myself, I've lost so much equipment. I've even had them gnaw off the cork if I have like minnow smell or some, fish smell on my rods. I've had them eat through waders. I've had them make nests in my boots. How many engines? They are the single most destructive force on the face of the planet. And that's why I hang everything. I hang everything off the ground. I don't want mice to even get near it. I want to say a few words about packing up and my view on this. Packing up should never be rushed, and it should never be stressful. That's not the reason you come out here, is to get stressed out. And a lot of times, the reason I say this is because many times in different groups I've been in, there is this frenzy at the end. It's almost a race. I don't know what it is. Either guys are playing, they're back in the military, or guys want to play, they were in the military. I don't know. Everything's
got to be done right now. It's stressful. Packing up should be done with a purpose. You know, you shouldn't be sitting there putting on your makeup and cleaning your fingernails. I've been on camping trips where it seems like guys are doing that. Just move with a purpose, but be methodical and thorough with it. And I'm going to give a great example of why, besides not being stressful, which is obvious, why you should be methodical and thorough. The last trip I was on, I was with a group of guys, and although the hammock has a ton of advantages over a tent, sleep-wise, rest-wise, being able, it deploys a lot faster, packing it up takes a little more time. I feel like it's easier to pack down a tent than it is a hammock. You have to pack away your hammock right, especially the lines and the lanyards that come out from it. It's almost, I would say, akin to packing your parachute. You have to do it right in order for it to work when you take it out. Last trip I was on, I was with a group of guys, and it got into this packing frenzy. I don't know what touches it off. You know, I mean, somebody thinks they're going to save maybe 10 minutes or something. That's usually the difference between rushing and stressful packing compared to just doing it thoroughly and methodically. And I was packing up my hammock. It was taking me a little longer. In the long run, I was ready before anybody else once I got the hammock done, but everybody's rushing through it, and I'm glad that I didn't rush through it. I did it right, and I packed my tarp away in my hammock. Because on this trip, the very first night that I stayed here, I was just ahead of a storm. It was just starting to sprinkle when I hit camp, and I was able to unpack my tarp from my hammock and deploy it almost instantly. Had I not put those lines away properly, I would have been wet, the dog would have been wet, all my gear would have been wet, and I would have been setting up in the rain trying to figure out the knots and the lanyards. So that was the difference between sucking and actually, wow, this is kind of cool. I can sit down and eat now under my tarp and set my stuff up and everything's dry. Just a little tip from, anyway, my point of view.